Greetings. This is the introduction to the HR simulation from Interpretive Simulations. This is going to give you an overview of what to expect as we go through the simulation, and I'm going to take you through these slides little by little. In terms of navigating the simulation, once you have paid your money to access the simulation, you will come to this main menu and all of these sub-menus down here. So we've got the how to start up, all the decision menu, your analysis, your reports, your environment, and then the simulation advance as we go on to the next period. Your navigation buttons within the simulation, this is to rewind, to go back, this is your home button, printing, export to Excel, and then this is your exit. This is also a question mark for any questions you might have on the simulation. Lastly, this will indicate here where the industry, what industry you're in, which is not going to be relevant for you guys, what your username is, and what your company name is. All right, moving on. It's important that you print out your records, either your decision summary after you've made your final decisions, or your decision reports and your newsletter once you're done making your decisions. And this is going to be particularly relevant as you become moved from the individual play to the team play, because with individual play you're expected to answer and do all the simulation on your own. But once you guys decide on who a team leader is going to be, I move everybody into the team leaders game, and you won't be able to see your old results. So it's really important that you make sure you print out all the results for your simulation as quickly as possible. Over here, you will click on the quarter in which you want to make your decision, what you want to see. Quarter 0 is the starting point for everybody, and for every decision that you make, you enter a new quarter. Your help notes are over here. They give you some quick pointers on how to manage the simulation. And then you can access your company dashboard up here in this green area here. So let's go with the startup decision. You'll start with the very top menu. It says startup. You'll have a case to read, which is the background information on the case. You'll click on making your startup decision. You're going to put your company name in, you're going to hit finalize, and you're going to hit submit. When you're in benchmark mode, you have to lock in your decision. So make sure you hit finalize, hit submit. Only the team leader can finalize. So while this is not relevant when you're doing individual play, when you're doing team play, only the team leader can hit finalize and submit. He or she is the only one that can do that. So you've got to put in your name, hit finalize, hit submit. You then have a series of decision menus, which will be on the left-hand side as well. You're going to make staffing, wages, benefits, training, and program decisions. Starting up here at the top where you see the decisions, we've got the staffing decision. In the staffing decision, you have to balance between promoting people from within and external hiring and making decisions based on that. The first thing I want to point out is with entry-level employees at level 1, you can only hire people from the outside. You can't promote anybody into an entry-level position. I think that makes logical sense, but it's important that you know that. You can promote people from the level 1 position into level 2 by indicating in this box here how many people you want to promote from level 1 to level 2. And on and on. So if you want to know how many people you want to promote into level 5, it comes from level 4, you promote them into level 5. The green area is all the new hires. Those are the external hires, people we're hiring from the outside. Here's the challenge. You have to balance between external hires and internal promotions. If we only hired everybody from the outside, the benefit is we get lots of great ideas, we get lots of innovation, we got new blood coming in at all levels of the company. But the downside is once they get hired in there, the chances of them being able to be promoted to a new position higher up to advance in the company is slim. So doing only external hires is going to create a morale problem for the employees inside the company. Alternatively, you can do all promotions, right? Except for obviously level 1, but you could do all promotions. Again, the plus side is everybody feels rewarded, everybody feels empowered to be able to do the work. The downside, however, is that with the promotions, all you're getting is homogeneity. Because once they come in at the entry level, you're not getting new blood anywhere in the organization up the hierarchy. So, and the only way to get into the company is being hired as an entry-level employee. Everybody else then only gets moved up and promoted from within. That's the downside. You're not getting innovation, you're not getting creativity, you're getting a lot of homogeneity, which can destroy a company. So your goal is to balance between the two, between external hires and internal hires, external hires and promotions. The last thing you have to think about in the decision for staffing is what percentage of targeted women and minorities do you want to attract to your company? It's a target. There's no guarantee that you're going to hire all those women. There's no guarantee, or minorities. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen. However, it is important that you set a target, a reasonable target, because in order for your company to be diverse, you need to recruit from diverse locations. And this is a way that you can actively recruit from diverse areas to increase the diversity in your company. This company in particular is not diverse at all, and that's a major problem for them, and will be a major problem with affirmative action if you don't address the issue. So putting in a reasonable target for women and minorities, it can be anywhere from 10 to 20%, as a target every month, every quarter. It makes sense. All right. So you click your finalize, you hit submit, and you move on. Wage rates. We all want to see better pay for our employees, so you'll be given an opportunity to do quarterly increases. So you'll put in the numbers here, recognize that this is a per person per quarter rate, and then once you do the per person per quarter rate, the program automatically calculates how many employees are in each category and what the overall budget impact will be. So be really careful about that. We'll talk about how to check that and to manage that in a little bit. Hit finalize, hit submit. Benefits. Each quarter you have to make a decision whether or not you want to increase, decrease, or keep your benefits the same. You'll be given opportunities to make changes to holidays and vacation time, to the pension, to any kind of health benefits, and any other general benefits like incentives or tuition reimbursement. These numbers, these represent a percentage. The 0.1, it means 10% of your payroll. 0.2 is 20% of your payroll. 3.2 is 3.2, 30, let's see, that's 10%. That would be 320%. I had to think about that. Sorry about that. 10% of your budget, 20% of your budget, 320% of your budget, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not sure that makes any sense to me now that I think about it. So, but there's a financial impact. The larger the number, the larger the percentage impact on your budget. So it is percentages. So that's a 3.2%, 0.1%, 0.2%, 0.8%, 3.26. Sorry. That's what you get for being on sabbatical for a while. You tend to forget these little things. Anyway, your goal here is that you want to pick numbers. Be careful because 3.2% is a pretty sizable chunk of your budget. That's 3.2% for your of the overall payroll. So you can click on a whole lot of budgets, a whole lot of benefits, hit finalize, submit, but you're going to have to cross-check your budget analysis to see if you have selected benefits, and not so many benefits that it drains your budget for the year. So you want to be incredibly careful about how you manage that. Training decisions. We've got a number of different training decisions to make. We've got new employee orientation and development, which means that we need to make sure that our new hires and our new promotions are getting appropriate training. And so you'll have to go to your training analysis to make sure that you have adequate enough budget in your employee orientation and development area. Then we have training for managers and supervisors. There's all different kinds of training for them, and you can decide what budget amount you want to put into that. And we can do safety and accident prevention, up to $80,000 there, and quality program can also be up to $80,000. And you can see that, if you can see it over here, you can allocate any amount from $0 to $80,000 per program. All of these have that. It's really important, though, you make sure that your new hire and promotions, that there's adequate money in this spot right here, because you need to make sure that all the new hires and promotees have adequate training to be successful on the job. If you don't do that, they're not going to be successful. You're going to lose them. They're going to walk away and resign from the company. So you hit finalize, hit submit. There are also additional programs that you can bring on. Employee participation, where people get an opportunity to have a voice in the way that they do management. You empower your workers to do more. Grievance procedures are where we allow people opportunities to lodge complaints about the company, and the company actively engages in solving those grievances and those problems. Orientation programs, different than the new hire stuff, right? We want to make sure they get some new hire training, but an orientation program is much more complex. It's much more in depth, and it really gets at how we understand the company culture and how we get people up to speed on the way we do things. If you look here on the right-hand side of the screen, there's little descriptions about each one of these programs, so you can refer to those as you get into this. An HR information system, I think, is pretty straightforward. Your HR information system automates all the records, and so this way you have access to information. It automates it in an IT system, so your employees can access it, and the HR professionals can access it in order to make better decisions. Your performance appraisal system is the performance appraisal for your employees. It's the system that you set up in order for them to be evaluated, so setting one up again is really important. And then lastly, affirmative action. An affirmative action program is where we actively recruit qualified women and minorities to have them apply to our company. Really, the goal with affirmative action is that we actively recruit everybody equally, but we make a particular affirmative attempt to bring in more women and minorities to make our recruitment pool as diverse as possible. When we hire, ultimately we hire the best candidates, but we can hire the best candidates who might also be diverse when we actively engage in affirmative action. And as you get into the lectures on EEO law and things like that, you'll get more information on how that basically is set up and what that really means. It's really important when you decide to set up a program, whether it's grievance, orientation, affirmative action, performance appraisal, once you make a financial commitment to set up a program, that you continue that program. Once you take a program away, it has a huge hit on morale. This is why it's really important to manage your budget, so that when you're faced with a dilemma, you're not looking at, well, I guess we should get rid of our performance appraisal system because that's going to cost us too much money. Employees don't like programs and benefits being taken away from them. And imagine yourself in that real life position if your company said, here's this great benefit, and a year from now, we're not going to let you do this benefit anymore. It's going to cost too much money. You wouldn't be happy about it either. So once you choose your programs, finalize, and hit submit. You also have special decisions to make based on incidents, whether it's based on a sexual harassment policy or a recruitment problem or compensation problem. All of those are listed in the simulation and also on the simulation due date grid. So make sure you refer to the simulation decision that you have to make every quarter. And I'm going to give you, here's an example of the one that you're going to have to do for your practice decisions as well as your first decision. A couple of things are going to come up when you hit special. You're going to get a screen that looks like this. You could have a video to watch and an incident to read, and it's going to tell you what some potential costs are. So you're going to enter your decision. You're going to look at the potential costs for each of your options, and you're going to get the incident will tell you what each of these what each of these options means. Each one of them costs something different. You should know that not every special decision or special incident has a cost. Some of them do, some of them don't. So it's just important that you understand that and you're ready to budget for it when that comes up. So once you decide what you want to do as a problem, you hit click, finalize decision, and hit submit. Your decision summary is the last thing under the decision menu, and basically you click on that option and it shows you a summary of all the decisions you made. Note here, you've made no decisions. At least based on this. The only thing you see is this quarter one expenses, and I'm not even sure from looking at this what the quarter one expense is. It might be a program decision down here that I can't see. But the point here is, once you've made and input all of the decisions here, you can look at your decision summary to make sure this decision summary matches everything that you want to do. Your decision summary and your budget analysis should be the last things that you look at before you hit advance in your simulation, which will be under this menu here, which we'll talk about in a bit. And once you know that your decision is finalized, you can hit the print option here and you can print it, and then you're ready to go. You'll have the information in front of you to refer to. And as I said, as you move from individual to team play, it's really important that you make sure that you have this stuff recorded and you have access to the decisions you made and the results of those decisions, because without that, you're not going to be able to write your individual report, which would be a major problem. All right. Analysis, right? Once you make your decisions, before you advance, it's really important you go into your analysis menu and you do your staffing analysis, your wage rate analysis, your training analysis, and your budget analysis. This way you make sure you're hiring the right amount of people, you're not overpaying or underpaying people, you're addressing whatever training issues you have, and your budget analysis is that you're within budget. So your staffing analysis allows us to check whether or not the number of employees that you have in the company match how many you're going to need for the next quarter. So the stuff in blue represents how many I currently have available. And that looks at the beginning number you had that year, how many resigned during that quarter, how many you hired, how many you promoted. And obviously we know that when we promote from level 1 to level 2, we create more vacancies in level 1, correct? So this will show us that we may be losing jobs in one position because of promotions, but we have to make sure we're hiring enough or promoting enough people to meet those losses on those promotions. Whenever you're promoting people, you always create more vacancies, right? So if you have a vacancy in level 1 and you hire someone from the outside, you fill it with someone from the outside, no problem. But if you have a vacancy in level 2, you have the option to hire from outside or promote. So at level 2, if I hire from outside, again, position's filled, I've not created any more vacancies. But if I decide to promote, I've filled the vacancy in level 2, but I've created a new vacancy in level 1. So now I need to bring in another person to fill the blank that I just created by promoting somebody up to the next level. All right, so the blue stuff is all about, this is what I had, these are how many resigned, and these are how many I want to hire or promote to meet those projected resignations. Then I go down to the projected number of employees I need, and I compare what I need, which is the total required, and I compare that to the number that I am expected to have. And the difference between the two is the numbers that you'll see in the overage or shortage row. Your ideal here is all of those are zeros. In this scenario, and if you notice, if you look up into the blue area, there are no new hires, there are no promotions, so all you're accounting for are the projected resignations. And note, the row that says projected resignations is the same as the shortages you're seeing here at the bottom. So your goal is, you go in, you make a staffing decision, you decide how many to hire, how many to promote, then you come into your staffing analysis and you check to make sure that your overage shortage line is all zeros. Because if that's not zeros, then you either have too many employees if it's a positive number, or you don't have enough employees and it's a negative number. And if you don't have enough employees, particularly at level 1 and level 2, you're going to run into a problem with having to pay overtime. So be aware of that. And that's where the cost of, you may have some costs here to consider. So If you need to, go back into staffing, make some numerical adjustments to your hires and promotions. Maybe you need to account for the promotion losses here. Come back into your staff analysis, and again, make sure you've got zeros all across the board there. And once you understand that, then you know that you've done a good job managing your staffing projections. All right. Wage is the same thing. Remember, I said everybody loves to give wage rate increases. Everybody's happy about that. But our challenge is, of course, that these wage rate increases can have a huge impact on our budget. So you may have a planned increase, and then you want to give everybody $1,000 a quarter raise, which sounds wonderful. But when you start multiplying that $1,000 times the number of employees you have in each category, that can quickly eat up your budget. So, whoops, let me go back again. I apologize for that click. So what you want to do is make sure that you're looking at what your planned increase is and what the cost is, and then see what kind of impact that has on your budget. So it's like it says down here, along with the total cost to your budget. You want to then go down to your budget analysis to see what big of an impact that's going to have on your budget. I mean, if you want to give a lot of raises and your raises are $1.4 million, congratulations, in one quarter you have just decimated your budget for the entire year. Your employees would be thrilled to pieces, they got a great pay increase, but you won't have any money to do anything after that. So be really careful about this. So use your wage rate analysis sheet to check what your overall budget is and what the impact's going to be. If you need to make changes, go back to your wage decision and make your change there. Training analysis. Remember, as I said, the employee orientation and training, new employee. It's not the orientation program that I talked about. What this is about, it's the new hire and promotion training. The number of new hires and promotions, you need to log in here how many new hires and promotions you have. And that comes from your staff analysis, so you know how many total new employees you're going to have at each level in the company. There is a cost to train them here, $200 for level 1, up to $3,000 for level 5. So you're going to get your estimated cost. You want to make sure you are putting in an adequate number of people here so that you are getting them the new training that they need. So whatever this training dollar is down here where it says total training, that's the number that needs to be back in here in that training menu, and it's the very first row in your training budget, which is the new employee orientation training. So again, making sure that you are calculating this appropriately. And I can show you this, as we go through a real live demo on the simulation. So you can recalculate that, just make sure you've got it right, and gives you your estimated costs. Then you have your budget analysis. Again, after your decision summary, your budget analysis should also be the place you go. So you're going to toggle between decision summary and budget analysis to make sure your decision summary is what you want it to be, and then your budget analysis is within the boundaries of what you want it to be. You will get your quarter expenses for the particular quarter you're making decisions for, and then you'll get your total year-to-date expenses. Notice that this company just had overtime costs and research survey costs, which is why their budget was $8,000. But you have $1.4 million to spend for the year. Notice that is an annual budget, not a quarterly budget. Your annual budget is $1.4 million. If you take $1.4 million, divide it by 4, that's $350,000 a quarter. It's really important that you do not overspend your budget. So on average, per quarter, you can spend $350,000. Does that mean you can only spend $350,000 a quarter? No. You could spend $100,000 the first quarter and spend more money the remaining 3 quarters. The goal here is every single time you spend money for your quarter, you will be given how much remains in your budget for the fiscal year. Once you see what remains for your fiscal year, you can use that remaining money divided up among the remaining quarters that you have. You may not exceed your budget, because if you do, once I put you into team play, you'll be penalized for that. All right. You will also, once you submit your results, you will have reports that you're going to get on all those areas: staffing, demographics, wages, production, performance, and budget. Staffing will tell you how many employees you ended up hiring, whether or not any of it was at overtime, the percentage of women and minorities that you had. That's the demographic report there. The staffing will just tell you how many employees you had per position and whether or not they had to work overtime. Your wage rates will tell you about the wage increase that you gave and how much of the fringe benefit it was that you have. Your production tells you how many units you produced, what the production rate was, what the productivity rate for your employee was. Company performance has to do with fringe benefits as compared to the industry average, etc. This company dashboard gives you just the overview of the entire your entire decision results, so you can get a good sense of how well you're doing. The last thing you look at is your quarterly budget report, where you want to look at how well you performed in keeping within your budget. So it gives you a summary of the overall categories, and you can see what you have spent in your budget. The company performance report will also have things for you like your morale index and your quality index and your absenteeism and accident rates and all those kinds of data here, and we'll talk about those data in a little bit more. We will be doing benchmark mode, so you will not have the option to buy the wage, training, production, and performance survey results, but we will do the newsletter. So let me show you what the newsletter looks like. The newsletter shows you your projections for the next 3 quarters when it comes to the production targets, all right, what you expect you need to make in order to meet customer demand. Gives you some industry news here. It also gives you particular messages and feedback on your on how well you're doing in the simulation so far, and also it gives you feedback on your incident, or will tell you what the next incident is that you need to do. So they usually will tell you. You have that information right on your simulation guidelines, but the newsletter will also tell you what the next decision is, so you're aware of that. As I said, the research surveys we don't have to worry about. In our benchmark mode, at the very bottom of the menu where it says simulation, excuse me, you have the option to advance, replay, or restart. When you're in practice mode, you can replay or restart all the time. When you are in the simulation, unless I give you permission, you don't get to replay it or restart it. I can only give you that option if we reset it. Once you're in benchmark mode and when you're ready to go, you can hit advance and you move forward to the next quarter, and you can make decisions for the next quarter. Your help button is really important. It gives you access to the simulation. I highly recommend you download the simulation manual and put that in your group site on Blackboard so everybody has access to it, and this way you can all look at it that way. So that's it. If you have any questions, let me know.